Hello, everybody. It's the psychic and the detective, Loraine and Neil, with our third podcast.
Wow, number three.
That's fantastic. Um, Thank you, everybody, for that's been listening to our podcasts. Um, we really appreciate your comments. We're going to be talking a little bit today because I know when we finished the last one, we were talking about troubled spirits, and there was a couple of things that we wrote down that we didn't get a chance to cover. And one of those was about the experience that you had fairly early on in your mediumship when you went to Olympia to a mind, body, and spirit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, wow, yeah. So I remember it being a really lovely day in London. The sun was shining, and so I was at the Mind, Body, and Spirit Soul festival in Olympia. And in the festival, we certain clairvoyants get picked to do demonstrations. And anyway, so it was my turn, and it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was quite a really hot day. So the audience was queuing up. There was loads of people, not even standing room in the room. So the lady that organised it said, "Oh, you've got a big full house again, Loraine." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's good." So anyway, I started, and so I linked in with the spirit world because fundamentally I'm a clairvoyant medium. So I linked in with the spirit world, and I went to a few people, give validations of their loved ones in the spirit world. And my shows are called Love and Laughter with Spirit. So I like to put a bit of humour in it because it can be quite draining if you're just dealing with emotions without any humour. So anyway, with that, I was going to my last message of that particular show, and I had this lady come through. But as she come through, there was this thunderbolt, and I mean everybody jumped to the fact like, oh my god, what's just happened. So anyway, this lady come through from the afterlife. This little Irish speaking lady, and she said, "My daughters are in the audience."
I'm not sure what you mean. That was me trying to turn off my phone. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
okay, that's fine. Not sure what you mean. That was about right. So anyway, there was this lovely lady. She tells me her name was Mary, and then she said my daughters, and then she pointed all around Olympia in three different seats, and she said one's there, and one's at the back. And so I said, well, okay. I said, can somebody take a mum who's past Irish Mary with three daughters in the audience? I said, if so, can you please stand up? So they stood up directly where she said they would be. And she then turned around and says, I hate my children. I hate my girls. So I'm a clairvoyant medium where I actually say it and hear it at the same time. So there's no real filter system because they use my vocal cords to give the information. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, this woman just said these three girls, these three women, that she hates them. So with that, one of the girls, one of the ladies actually said, yes, we know she hates us. But anyway, so she was very angry. She was very aggressive, the energy from the spirit world. And I just said to the Mary, I said, please, we need to end it here because it is a show, and the other people in the audience doesn't really need to hear what you're going to say nastily to the children. So anyway, cut a long story short, the author of my books, Mary, another Mary, she interviewed the people after my show, and she got to the girls, the ones that I gave messages to, and she was so intrigued with how angry the mother was from the spirit world that she asked if she paid for the girl to come and have a private one-to-one reading with me, and if she could, be there and that. So cut a long story short, maybe 3 or 4 months pass, and I meet up with Mary and the girls there. I can't really say her name because obviously it's all private and confidential. And it actually unravels the fact that she really doesn't like her daughters was because she had um, been put into some kind of institution as a child, and she got pregnant by people that she shouldn't have got pregnant by, and they took the baby, 2 babies away from her, and she could never see them again, and she didn't know whether they were girls and boys. So in her mind's eye, and even when she went to the spirit world, she was so traumatized by her experiences in the world that she couldn't show love to the girls. So now I want to go forward after that reading till I have another follow-up conversation with this particular daughter, and the mother come through much more peaceful, and that she's made peace with herself, and she actually apologised to her daughter, and for her to pass messages on to the others that she truly does love them. And I thought that was really sweet. So just because you pass away doesn't mean to say instantly you're going to become this perfect love and light soul, because we are victims. Well, victims, maybe that's not quite the word. We do carry the problems deep in our soul, even when we go transition into the afterlife.
Can I just ask something? Why, when you were talking there, did I have images of nuns and priests?
Well, yes, I didn't actually want to say, but that's where this Irish lady was. She was an orphan, and she grew up with the nuns and priests in Ireland. Yes.
That's weird, because I had images when you were talking about her being put into care.
Yeah.
Of a priest putting her in the car.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I saw some horrific things, and that. So yeah, no, so we managed to really make the peace there. I felt a bit like I don't know, just a go between the mother and her children. I mean, obviously only one girl come, but obviously it was all recorded, and I got lovely messages saying thank you. We love our mum. We understand why she was the way she was, because if she never come through, and Mary didn't have the inclination to carry this on, to see what the problem was with the mother and the daughter, these girls would have gone for the rest of their earthly life thinking that they were to blame because their mother hated them. But then now they've all got peace and harmony, so that was really nice.
That's excellent. So the other thing we wrote down was we did a ghost walk in Whitechapel, and that was quite a long time ago. So it may be hard to remember.
Yeah, I don't really remember too much. Other than the fact I remember it being a really cold, wet day, and we had camera crew, if I remember. Yes,
we did have a camera crew. That's right.
Yeah.
So we were going round the sites of the supposed the name that the papers gave to probably what was the first serial killer, or recognised as a serial killer.
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper.
Oh yeah, Jack the Ripper. Yeah. Well, I don't really remember too much, but let's see if I can ask my guide Ramos to bring back some of the memories. Let's see what we got told. Okay, so the first thing I'm being shown that there wasn't just one Ripper, there was two. And I do see one of them, I don't know whether they lived across the Atlantic, but I am seeing America being connected. Does
Yeah.
that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is what they're showing me. And I do feel, but one of them was quite related to kind of wealth. So I do think they were both wealthy in their own rights, but one was a lot more wealthier and a lot more protected than the other.
Yes.
And so what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing like a black coach with gold wheels, and they've forgiven me these gold wheels. So whether they used a coach or one of them used a coach with, and I'm seeing a horse and carriage, and a big like coach, but I'm not seeing any people other than the man on the driving. Would you say driving a horse? I don't know what you would say.
Yeah.
Okay,
The driver,
and
yeah.
I'm also seeing a guy coming out in a black overcoat with like a tallish hat on his head.
Top hat.
Yes, tallish.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing him with like a little moustachey kind of thing. He's quite, he's quite got really, his fingers, they're drawing me now spiritually to his fingers. They would have been long, very long fingers. And the other one was a bit round and dumpy with a bit of an accent. So I do feel that these two men didn't work together doing this, but one took advantage of the other one doing it.
Copycat.
Copycat, yes.
Yeah. So, there was quite a few. People talk about the conical five as there's five main victims, but
There was 11.
Yeah, there
There
could
were
have been.
11 spirits, just told me, and some of them was as young as 14.
Right. Okay. And were all the murders in and around Whitechapel, or did it spread?
It spread, and I do see one or two in America as well.
Yeah. Okay. Because I think, historically, and I can't remember the names, but historically, one of the alleged suspects did go to America.
Ah, yes. And I do feel one of them did do some type of butchery or medicine, I'm not sure, but one of them did actually know how to cut the body properly, where the other one never.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, what would you say one was? Can I ask if one was medically trained, or was it that they were sort of ancillary to that type of training?
Well, I do feel that they done a. I'm seeing a London hospital.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing maybe, I'm not seeing it being Whitechapel Hospital because I know the murders were all around Whitechapel and beyond. But I'm seeing a big hospital right by, I don't know, it looks like it's got metal steps going all up the side of this hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely feel that this person was very connected.
Connected to whom?
You're gonna laugh, but I definitely see a king of some sort.
Okay. So royalty of some sort.
Yeah, or a prince. I really don't know, but I certainly feel they showed me a carriage again, and this carriage I'm seeing in gold leaf, some initial.
Has it been hidden then? Some of this.
Absolutely, the police detectives at the time, they was not very savvy, I'm being told, around it,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to feed the children. So when they do that, does that mean they were given a backhander?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So that they would pay for information.
They would.
Okay. And sometimes when they paid for information, it wouldn't necessarily be the truth.
Yes.
It would be people sort of saying to them, "This is what we think you should hear."
Absolutely. But
Okay.
there was definitely two people involved. Although Ramos has just said to me, I must explain, Ramos is my spirit guide, there was a third, but this third never really done anything. He got a few victims but couldn't carry it through.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So this. So we've established. I just want to delve into this a little bit further, if we may. We're saying that one of them may have had medical training.
Yes.
The other one, what sort of profession do you think they are?
You know what, it's very hard because I just feel that they seem to have loads and loads of money. Again, I certainly do feel, I'm not sure what profession they was in, but I certainly feel it was, I'm seeing a briefcasey kind of thing. I'm seeing, but it's a brand briefcase, but it's not how we would see a briefcase. It's like a brand leather kind of looking thing with like a top thing that opens there. And I'm seeing him coming in on a boat and on a ship.
Interesting. Okay. Because I suppose that you know the the River Thames wouldn't be that far away, would it?
No, no, it wouldn't be that far away. But I certainly can see that one's going in. But it looks like it's as they come into England, it looks like they're coming in a glamorous thing.
Okay. Which kind of suggests this royalty connection again.
I feel so. I really feel so because I am seeing the carriage and it's got letters.
Okay. You can't see the letters.
No. I don't know if it's an M or an H. I don't know. I can't really see.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's interesting, and those that do follow, the Jet the Ripper may be able to pick something more about that. So that's very good. Thank you.
I also heard the name of Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan. Somebody called Jonathan. But I do feel that this was somebody that showed a big interest in the case back in the day.
Okay.
And I've seen that this Jonathan, although I don't see that he worked for the Metropolitan Police, I do feel that he was a man who had great intuition. So I'm wondering whether he was a clairvoyant or a seer, because I've just been told by this guy called Jonathan Rafe or something.
Or Braithwaite.
Braithwaite. And he tells me he could know the next move, and he told his wife that there was more than one.
Okay. Interesting. Fantastic. I mean, for those that are listening, you know, you haven't studied any of the Ripper stuff at all, have you?
No, I don't do reading and writing.
So, I know. So, I wanted if to ask. I would like to ask Spirit, if I can, for you to, through them, to explain the different types of mediumship.
Okay. Well, should we go back maybe 250 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so when mediumship, this was all hidden, as you know, that we have been brought up under the umbrella of certain religions. So spiritualism then come into play, but you've got to realise the Druids were reading runes, and the Vikings, they were reading runes back in as early as the 7th century. So so when you think clairvoyancy has always been a very important thing in people's existence. Even as early as the King of France back in the 14th, 15th century, he wouldn't go to war unless he saw a prophet. So, so for example, Notre Dame would be called to the royal chambers and he would say, do, 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 do. They'd be looking up the stars. Egyptians, the pharaohs, even like Jesus, he would talk to the Father up in the spirit world. So mediumship, channeling has been going on since we all got our earthly existence. So from the source, when we come down to the earth, we have to learn great faith, but we always know that there's something more beyond what we're actually doing in this physical world. So, going back to different types of clairvoyancy, mediumship. So, clairvoyant is clear seeing. So, if you go to a clairvoyant medium, so they clear see your future, your past, and anyone in the spirit world, whether it's loved ones or whether it is your spirit guides, they will clear see. So, clairvoyant means clear seeing. Clairaudient is when you hear. So some people hear spirit, and and so that's really cool. So you can get certain words. You don't hear it in your ears so much, but in your head. So again, I will explain that a bit later. So you've got clairvoyant, clairaudient, which is clearing, clairsensitive. Now, I like to work clairsensitive where like I said, I hear the information as I'm giving it to my client. I don't have time to listen to them and then channel and go back there. I want it to come direct through my vocal cords. So clairsensitive, and my guide Ramos says it's easy to work with you, Loraine, because you don't question, you just give. And so clairsensitive, so it is how I like to work. There's trance mediums. And this is when a being in the spirit world, and I'm saying being because it could be somebody who's recently had an earthly experience, or it could be an alien existence, or it could be an angel, it could be whatever. So they come through to the clairvoyant and they work in trance. So the clairvoyant is like in a state of their own existence, right? Push back and the energy takes over, and it shows how they can transfigure. So you might see the trance medium's face change, you might see objects flying around the room on its own,
different voices,
yeah. And sometimes when I've worked, my client said, oh my god, you've just turned into my grandmother. Well, I don't mean to. Obviously, I'd like to turn into someone gorgeous. But anyway, so I'm laughing. But, so when you're working in trance, they take you over completely. So they're using your physical body as a source of a vessel for them to portray what they want you to know.
So, I mean, when we was talking about Jack the Ripper, I got this thought in my head about the priests and the nuns.
Yeah.
So what would you say that was?
Oh, when we was talking about Olympia, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's because you are picking up, because you're sitting here and we're channeling with the spirits.
Yeah.
You will be picking it up. So they will put that thought in your head.
Yeah.
And you just get that feeling, oh God.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's, you've probably realised that over the years I've had to learn that, because
yeah.
I think before, if I got a thought like that, I think it was me thinking it rather than giving it by spirit.
Yeah, my guide always says to me, your first thought is spirit, your second thought is your own ego.
Yeah.
Is your own mind. So I always go, so when I'm doing a reading for somebody and I say blah 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 and they're like, oh really? And I'm thinking, oh God, it would have been better if I changed it to something else. But that would have been my own ego saying that or my own thought.
Yeah.
But my first thought is, Spirit, I'm going to give it to you because I don't know you
Yeah.
from Adam. And
Yeah.
if you wasn't meant to know that, I wouldn't have got that for you.
And I think the other thing as well is, very often you've said things to people and they couldn't take it at that particular time, and then about a month, 3 months down the road,
Yeah,
Loraine, you said that to me.
exactly. A
So
lot
that's
of the time, yeah, that happens loads.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
so that really happens loads. And for example, just as recent as the other, more maybe about 5 or 6 days ago, I remember reading for this lady. She was from South Africa, and I don't really remember people's readings because obviously I read for so many and that. So and if I remembered them, God, my brain would be better than any bloody NASA computer. Do you get what I mean? And it really isn't that. But I remember this particular lady, and I remember saying to her, "I've got your son here," and she said, "My son?" I said, "Yeah." And he described a mountain and some like is it bogland where it's all marshland maybe,
swamp type
yeah,
thing.
swim, yeah, it was like horrible. And she said, "No, my son's still alive." And I went, "Okay." She said, "But I've not heard from him, Loraine, for like at least a month." She said, "But that's no usual." um, I gave her a name. She said, "Yeah, that's his name." And I went, "Oh, okay." She said, "Do you think he's gone?" So I'm there now thinking, what do I say? As a mum myself,
Hmm.
I'm thinking, I don't know what to say. So my guide said, "Just say, oh, I don't know." He said, "You're not telling her nothing, that's going to be painfully bad, because if this poor woman would, she hasn't got any concrete proof. It's just us telling you that he's safe with us on the other side." I'm thinking, so I'm like to say, "Oh, I really don't know." I said, "Maybe, because I work with energy," which is true.
Mm-hmm.
"I can pick up with the living as well as the past."
Yeah, yeah.
I said, so I just kind of, that's what Spirit told me to say. So I said that to her. So anyway, she was calling the office. And in the end, the lady that does my bookings, she said, "Look, Loraine," she said, "she's really desperate and we've got nothing to offer her, but I don't know." And for her to say that shows me that Spirit was saying to her, "Get Loraine to talk to her."
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden I had this cancellation come through. So this girl saying, "Well, I don't know, you got a cancellation, can you do?" She said, "I will." So she picked up the phone. She called me. She said, "Loraine," she said, "I don't really know what to say other than the fact that I'm sorry." And I went, "Really?" I thought, she's sorry about it, me. She said, "Well, I got off the phone. I'm thinking, well, you picked up my mum, you picked up my dad, you picked up my deceased brother, but it can't be right because my son," I'm going to call him P because his name begins with a P, "is still alive. So, nah." I got off the phone thinking, well, okay, but no, that's definitely not right. She said 4 days after our our Zoom call, she said, "I got a call from the police, and through dental records, they found my son's body."
Hmm.
And she said, "I didn't know how to feel, Loraine." She said, "Because I know that he's safe because of the message you gave me." She said, and I said to my husband, she said, "Well, he's not dead. He's been through to that clairvoyant." So I thought that was quite nice. Sad
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah. But I think, in a way, it was Spirit's way of half preparing her for it, I think.
I think so, but and I said to my guide Ramos, I said, "Please don't ever do that to me again," because it put me in this, because I could clearly see that he was passed,
Yeah.
and the mother clearly never knew that he was passed. And so my mummy's side is saying, uh-oh. My clairvoyant side is saying, we've already told her, you might as well carry on.
Yeah.
But I think we come to a bit of a compromise.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
well, it was you were obviously being guided about the best way to deal with it. In the end, it did turn out
Yeah, and
right.
so carry on the reading after he come through, and he was just saying that no one was to fall, he just fell, and he didn't suffer, and it was an instant passing. So, and I
Yeah,
think in a way she got clarification instead of wondering what happened to him. Was he killed? Did he suffer? Did he fall? Was he there a long time before his soul left his body? She got the clarification.
that's excellent. Okay. Well, I think for this podcast that'd be quite a nice way to end it, and because I think for you to get these messages, it can be quite draining, can't it?
It's very draining, and it's very because you're only really channeling, and it's like anything, when you are channeling, it's like anyone with their work, it can be full on, full on, full on. And so, yeah, so it's really nice to end in not such a nice note for the mother and the parents and the brothers and sisters of this young boy, but it's nice to know that life goes on.
Yeah, and I think that's it, isn't it? It's for those that are listening. It is for that mum. There's proof that there is life
Mm,
after death, or that your soul goes on.
absolutely. So we'll talk about that in our next podcast. I don't know what one, but we will talk about it.
Okay.